Hey everybody, welcome back to Minecraft Create. I'm Joe Mama, your host. So, I know I just released a video, but man, I've been really racking my brain over these water wheels, and I think I've discovered something. I'm sure other people have already discovered it, but I find this purely fascinating, and I want to get it out to you guys as soon as possible. Well, as you may recall, let's take a walk over here to our water wheel array, and you notice I'd set these things up with a shaft, right? I put 4 of them together with discrete water streams, and I put a shaft in between them. It adds all the stress unit capacity together so that this thing can be operated. Well, I also, in addition to that, I also discovered the stress meter, but we'll get to that. So as you can see, that's running at 12 RPMs, and we can put a stress meter on it. Watch this. See the stress meter? Okay, now it actually tells you, if you're wearing the engineer goggles, it tells you the whole network capacity. It says remaining capacity is 168 stress units out of 768. So that's pretty cool. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out to you as we talk about these water wheels. Now, as you can see, they're put together with a shaft, and that takes up extra space. Well, I don't know why I didn't try this before, but it turns out that doesn't need to happen. You can actually just put them together just like stack them together like Oreo cookies in a package. So you don't need to put a shaft. You can just stack them right up against each other, which makes them more compact and less complicated. Takes up less space, and it takes up less materials in that you don't have to use a shaft in between them. They'll just be right up against each other. So I've set these things up as a demonstration. The blue wool block right there shows where you would put the water block, but I wanted to show you that these water wheels can be actually set up in almost a tileable arrangement. From an aesthetic standpoint, from a functional standpoint, this is tileable. And you just have to cap the ends appropriately. And here's an example of that arrangement with the ends capped. Meaning you cap the end so that the water just doesn't go everywhere. Okay, by the way, if you can't see it, there is an empty block under there so the water can flow into it, just like here. This is another way to arrange it. A single water block, 2 water wheels, and 2 water blocks with 2 water wheels and a single place for the water to go. Now, keep in mind, this is just, it can tile that way, but it can also tile left and right. And I'll show you how that works. So you could do this. You could take a water wheel, put it there, and that would still work, and make sure you give a place for the water to go. That could all still work. You can create a pretty awesome power supply with just water wheels. And I've decided that I want to try to do that. Now take a look at this. This is, hang on, let me just, F3G. So now you can see the chunk borders. I wanted to create basically a great big power supply that can fit inside a single chunk. I wanted it to be self-contained, so that it could be a single unit that could be used on a factory floor. A single unit that has everything you need to start drawing power from. So what I did is, using a combination of these 2 arrangements, and look how simple that is. These are tileable. Single block, single water source, single block, single water source. It's too freaking easy. But this needs to be self-contained, so it can't just be, let's see, a chunk is 16 blocks by 16 blocks. So this cannot be 16 by 16. It has to be capped at either end. So it's really going to be 14 blocks. Okay, we have 14 blocks of available space with a wall all the way around it, 14 by 14. So, now again, you have to be careful of the bias of the water wheels, and I think this is where the water is going to go, so I think that's correct. Is that right? Is that what I had in mind? I think it is. Okay, yeah, it is. Yep, okay. So let's go ahead, and we're just going to put a whole bunch of water wheels here, and then we're going to see how well this actually works. All right, so let me go ahead and lay these out, again, being very careful about the bias. So I realize this is a lot of materials in wood and gears and everything, but the point is that it's easily attainable early in the game. Okay, if you compare this to the furnace engine, the power supply that we'd set up, a self-sustaining power supply with a furnace engine, that's a lot of brass. And brass is kind of a pain in the neck to get early on in the game. And there's a lot of other technologies that go with it that make it more difficult as well. So let's go ahead and get these all set up. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to try that. So 7 times 14, you know, do the math, whatever that comes to. So let's go ahead. We're going to cap the ends here. Okay. I think that should be okay. I think that should work. If it doesn't, we'll know. But that's why I set it out here by its lonesome, so that if it creates a mess, it's not going to ruin anything else we've set up. So, all right. Okay, so I think we're ready to go. Let's go ahead and get the water. And okay, let's yes, they're all turning, but make sure make sure all of them are getting hit by a water supply block. Okay. Can I do this? Wait. Yeah, that's what I was hoping would happen. That this would catch that other set of water wheels as well. Okay. So then I don't put water here because I want this to be self-contained. So again, there would be a wall right here. So we're actually going to go ahead and put that wall in place. Okay. So now we have 7 banks of water wheels spinning. They're independent of each other right now, but we're about to fix that. Okay. You might be able to hear my computer going crazy trying to keep up with this. Alright, so, can we pull this out? Yes, we can. Alright, awesome. And I need to expose all 7 banks of water wheels. Can we do that? Yes, we can. And the rotations, oh, look at that. Okay. Okay, you see this? This last one is not quite in sync. Let's go ahead and put an RPM meter on it. This is the sort of thing I wanted to check. 8 RPMs. Okay, and this one should be 12, am I right? Yes, okay. Okay, but that is not insurmountable. That is not insurmountable. Okay, we'll just have to figure that one out. But, so let's leave that one there for now. Let's take these. We're going to put a gearbox next to each one. Okay. And the shafts involved, they should all rotate the proper directions. Okay. So there we go. So now those shafts are all operating in the proper direction, which is great. So let us, let's see, what can I do right here? Can I, how can I do this? Okay, that works, that works. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. We need to have I mean, all that power is great, but you have to have a place for it to go, correct? So let's go ahead and put a shaft there. Let's put a, let's take our wrench. Where's our wrench? Come on, buddy. Let's get the wrench. Let's get that, and let's actually get a small gear. And don't need... What don't we need? We don't need the water wheel. Okay. So we'll put that there. Grab our wrench, and we're going to wrench this side so that this side is maintained, but it's going to move this upward like... Oops, nope. That's not right. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Okay. No, that's right. I was wrenching the... I wrenched the shaft, not the box. There we go. Not the gearbox. So we'll put the shaft up. We're going to put up one more, and then we're going to put that gear right there. So there's an output right there if we need it. And what we can do... Okay, we can actually cover this whole thing up. Okay, let me just give an example right there. So there's a floor. Imagine that that's a floor and this is all covered up. And let's check something right now. Let's check the speedometer. We already know what the speedometer says. Let's check the stress meter, because the stress meter is actually going to tell us what power is available. Huh, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. The capacity is 16,128. 16,000. Doesn't that sound familiar? That is almost exactly the capacity that a furnace engine provides. And the best part about this, it says remaining capacity. That's not only how much these wheels are producing, that is how much is available to use in other useful work that has nothing to do with keeping this thing going. There's nothing that needs to keep going right there. It's water blocks, right? There's no mechanical arms, there's no pistons, there's nothing that needs to operate to keep it going. That's 16,000. Now the caveat there is that we're operating at, let's see, speedometer, at 12 RPMs, okay? I think the furnace engine operates at 16, but we're gonna go check that out. And if it operates at 16 rather than 12, that means it has 33%, that the furnace engine has 33% more available power for use. But I mean, this is so simple. This is so freaking simple. Plus, if we can actually get this output to match the 12 RPMs, and now how exactly we would do that, I'm not quite sure. Let's see. Chain drive, gear shift. Let's see, let's check this. Check what the gear shift does. Controlling rotational force using a gear shift. Gear shift will relay rotation in a straight line. Oh, it changes direction. Okay. I wanted to see if there was actually a gear reduction box or something. Adjustable, encased chain drive, gear shift, clutch, gearbox, encased fan, andesite encased shaft. So, adjustable chain gear shift. It's a W, see what it says. Controlling the rotational speed with chain gear shifts. Unpowered chain gear shifts behave exactly like... Okay. So, the speed is trained to the other is doubled. Oh, interesting. Okay. And I think in the other one it's cut in half. Okay, if you work it the other way, it's cut in half. Powered gear should not have the source of speed, will be halved instead. Okay. Okay. Okay, that's the only thing I know of that could work. So, really though, if you wanted, so let's put the stress meter on this thing and see what it says. So still, that 1,700 stress units that are still available at a different speed. So what you could do is you could bring the shaft, like, let's do that. Let's do that right now. So, let us throw gearbox, and let's wrench this bad boy this way. Shaft, shaft, shaft. Nope, not that one. And then throw that one right there. So now, even though it's not quite as usable, or even though it's not quite compatible with that over there without some chain reduction, you can still use it. It's still available. So that's pretty awesome. And, okay, so let's take this and then put that right there. And then, let's see if we put a speedometer right there. Okay, so now we get it up to 16 RPMs, which is compatible with the what-you-call-it engine over there, the furnace engine. And then if we put a stress meter on it, still low. So let's take a look over at, you know what, let's take this chunk border down. Yeah, there we go. Take the chunk border down, and let's go over here, because this I want to see. I want to check something, so let's throw... Okay, let's go ahead and throw some wood in the engine. Okay, so now everything's operating. Okay, I took all the chain drive, or I took all the motor drives out, and everything seems to be operating just fine. So, but there's all these pistons and mechanical arms, and there's a lot of, like, and this saw. and these little hands over here. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's drawing off of it, and so I put a stress meter on here so that when we did this experiment, I could read it. And look at that. Okay, so it's operating at 16 RPMs, which is a little more, but it only has, because of all these things that are attached to the machines, to the clockwork and everything, because of all this garbage, all of these arms and everything, it's actually pulled about 4,000 stress units. It's put 4,000 stress units on the system, which means the only available power is 12,000, or the only available stress units that it can absorb are 12,480. Now, that is at the 16 RPMs. So it's, let's see, if we do the math, and this is how it works. This is how you can compare the power output. So 12,480 times the 16 RPMs equals 199,680. So that's 199,680. If we then take, what is that, 16,128 and multiply it by 12, it equals 193,536. So that still says that even with all this burden on the system, this still has a little bit of extra power. About 6,000 stress units, rotation stress units, I guess that's what you'd call it. It's about 6,000 rotation stress units more power available than our system over here. But again, it's about the complexity. It's about it's about not having to find a skeleton spawner. It's about not having to set up all those arms. It's about not having to use a single lick of brass to do all this. It's simple. So I think this right here is an excellent power unit for a single chunk, and then all you'd have to do is cover this up and you have a factory floor. So, and you could tile these if you want. This is a completely tileable design. So if you need more power, then you've got a whole bunch of arms, or you've got a whole bunch of functions that are going to happen. You can do that. Just set this up and cover it with a factory floor. To me, I think this is a perfectly viable system. I think. But you know what? You can do what you want. But one of the many things, this is just one of the many things that we're learning with this mod, that I'm learning with it, and I think when I start setting up my own factory in survival world, I want to use something like this. I think this would work great, and so far this to me seems like the most viable power supply if you need a crap ton of power. The furnace engine is great, and it's certainly a compact design if you're not worried about self-sustaining it. So if you just have a bunch of things you want to smelt, and while you're smelting it, you need to pull some power off of it in for temporary reasons, then yes, the furnace engine will be perfect for that. So especially if you're not moving any mechanical arms or anything like that are needed to operate it, but that will work. But if you're trying to set up all this tree farm garbage and all this other stuff, then it seems to me that it's a lot of wasted resources, to be honest. Because I'll tell you what, if I'm going to start using brass, and you know what? I didn't even get into how you create a mechanical arm. A mechanical arm requires something called an electron tube, and that requires rose quartz, and that requires sandpaper. It's crazy what's required to make a mechanical arm. It's pretty involved. Okay, so there you go. Look at that. It's 3 blocks high. Okay, we made this on the surface, and it's only 3 blocks high, and it provides all that power for us. I think that is a great thing. So we can set up belts in here, we can set up mechanical arms, we can set up mixers, or whatever we want to set up. It's hard to imagine that we could use all 16,128 stress units in this short little bit of space. So there it is. Awesome. And again, this could be used for something else, maybe a crusher or something. I don't know. You could always bring the speed up. You could use the gears and bring the speed up. Maybe there's a mechanical assembler. Who knows? But it's it's still 1,700. What is it? 1,700, almost 1,800 stress units that are available to you in addition to the 16,000 here. So the total of 18,000 stress units that are available to load up here. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you, get that out, and just kind of give you another option, because I think this is a great option right here for a self-contained, in one chunk power unit. Guys, if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I will see you guys in the next one. Ciao.